How's it going, guys? Welcome to the In My Element podcast. I'm excited to continue on this journey, celebrating people that I'm inspired by, people that I look up to, friends of mine that are doing amazing things. And today, I have the honor and the privilege of hosting the man, the myth, the legend. He's a good friend of mine. Met him a while back. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But we're able to reconnect recently, and he's got a cool story. So I'm excited to introduce you, Mr. Connor Milligan.
That was a lead-in, man. I don't know if I can live up to that lead-in.
You don't. I'm not asking you.
You're not asking me to. All right, cool. All right.
Take a sip. Take a sip of whatever you
got. Ezekiel, man, what's going on, brother? Hey, thanks for having me on your podcast. I'm just excited to be here today, man. Goodness, how long ago has it been now since we've actually reconnected? I feel like that was what, 5 years ago?
Well, dude, we met a while back, but reconnected, man, we reconnected, what was it, like 2.5 years ago, right?
Yep.
On a consistent level of being friends and hanging out.
So it's a funny story. And so for everybody who doesn't know, I met Ezekiel when I was in high school. He was in high school as well. You graduated what year?
2K13. Not 2013. Not 2013, but 2K13.
2K13. All right. And I graduated in 2011, and we had some mutual friends. And I think I picked you up. Am I right in saying this? I picked you up at your house because we were all going to a party that night.
And I didn't drive.
You didn't drive. I had never met you before, and now you're in my car and we're hanging out. And that might have been the last time I saw you.
Yeah. We were typical high school kids just trying to get wild, and I was like, man, Connor's a cool dude. Never saw him again, I think.
Never saw him again. Always knew of you, obviously, because of our friend Gene.
Giancarlo, shout out Giancarlo.
And man, like a few years later, I remember I had kind of went to college, came back in the area, and you were doing some cool things in the area as well. And it's Subculture Coffee out in the alley. Yeah, dude, just reconnected. So it's been fun, man.
I actually do remember that. We were hanging out. You were telling me you were in ministry.
Yeah.
Getting into doing videos still, but getting into ministry, which is, you serving at your church, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But it's been a while, man. It's been a while since freshman me was in your car. Just no license.
Gosh, didn't even know who you were.
No bills.
Just life was just free.
Abercrombie and Fitch. PacSun jeans.
Dude, shout out, man. Shout out. Yeah, dude. But
fitted. So, where you from, man? And
so I was born in Chicago. Love Chicago. I'm a huge Chicago White Sox fan. We're gonna win it all this year. Let me just go ahead and say that right now.
That's a tough one.
We're gonna go. I'm just going ahead and say that right now. But from Chicago, man. Moved down here when we were, maybe entering, I think it's a first grade, so I might have been 6 at the time. And just kind of lived in Florida for a long time. My family, we retired. We went through, in that season of moving down to Florida after retiring, some rough patches in life. A lot of the money that my dad had retired and had brought to himself through that, we actually lost in the stock market, and so the ups and downs, and so trying to figure it out. And so I've been all over the place, man. We moved so many different times. Man, I lived in the Boca area, lived in the Delray area, now live in the kind of the Lantana, live in the West Palm, all over the place. And so, yeah, man. But dude, I'll say this, man, it's all been fun. And I've learned, I feel a lot from those places. And so, obviously I can go into more depth, but
but I think that's a rundown. First of all, just to make it clear, the White Sox are trash. If you're a White Sox fan,
all right. If you're a Dodgers fan, because that's who
Dodgers. No, but I grew up. I tell people all the time.
Let me just go ahead and say this right now. The Dodgers won the World Series.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
A shortened COVID season.
And you know who closed it out? A Mexican guy from Sinaloa.
You're represent. Hype. One in shortened COVID season. And we'll see what they do this year. Where are they? Are they in first place? I don't think they are.
Shout out Monkey Betts. That's all I gotta tell you, man. Shout out Monkey Betts. But dude, that's insane. And you went through obviously a whole run through of obviously your upbringing right now, which is we'll get more in depth on certain things. But it's just cool to kind of man, because I mean, people will see you now and be like, oh, like it's typical, dude looks like he's wearing a nice hat, he's probably had it all together his whole life. But everyone, like I tell people all the time, everyone has a journey that they've gone through, or struggles that they've gone through. So to see you now and obviously see you where you're at now, it's awesome and it's amazing. Bro, you did music videos for a while.
Mm-hmm.
When I met you,
Mm-hmm.
you were into filming.
Mm-hmm.
When I reconnected with you, it was through filming as well. We were filming a gig with
Yeah.
a friend. How long did you do that for, bro?
Goodness. So let me think. Because
we went to the same high school.
Sure, we went to the same high school, which was a film high school. So let me just start off by saying this. I'd always been passionate about film. Ever since I was young, I'd been passionate about film.
You were not always great at it.
No. Listen, Zeke, everybody has a come up, okay? I'm joking. No, thanks for also like tripping me into saying, no, I wasn't good at all. No. So I appreciate that.
You're good,
No. But when I was 8, I don't know why, I was the kid who watched the behind the scenes to all of my favorite films that we would watch with our family because I just had an interest. I was passionate about it. And I remember telling my dad that. He bought me a camera, dude. And now, granted, today we have digital. Like, this was one where
Thank
you had
God.
dude, thank the Lord, man.
VHS, VHR.
It literally had like the mini cassettes that you would put in, and so it was one of those. It was great. Filmed so many great things on there, dude. I remember filming like a class project when I was maybe in 7th grade, all about alligators, and it was the best thing ever. Not really, but you know what I mean. The best thing ever.
I mean, at the time,
the time, it was phenomenal. And then I ended up going to the same high school you went to. We went to a film high school, and it just really kind of grew once again this passion. And so kind of throughout this time of kind of exploring, learning, figuring out new little things, when I was in my senior year, I really wanted to go to a film school. Got in, but it was just really expensive, and so ended up going to a school in South Carolina called Coastal Carolina University. Shout out to Chanticleers.
Sheesh.
And man, I mean, up there, that was kind of where I just began to like really take film like head on. Because what was crazy is they didn't have a film department, and so I was like, well, I want to continue to do film. I'll just do it on the side. And I did, and within the area there were a lot of like local artists. Shout out to the people on the come up, and I honestly just started creating friendships with those guys, and a lot of them, we would just hang and talk life and listen to music and look at videos, and through I think those connections is when I started to really say, man, I wanna pursue videography, because I would shoot music videos for these guys.
I know, and if I do remember very clear, you did shoot Da Baby, which
I knew you were heading to this,
which then was known as Baby Jesus.
Yep, he was known as Baby Jesus.
If you didn't know that, Da Baby was known as
Baby Jesus. So I'll get to that here in a second. Because I didn't just go from kid who didn't have a
shooting alligators
to Baby Jesus. Dude,
Baby
the leap of faith, man. You know what I mean?
No. What a gap.
Yeah, what a gap. Gosh, look at that. Such a success story. No. So like started shooting music videos for these local artists and all that stuff, and kind of started getting a knack, like became a student of it all, like started following every up and coming videographer that you can think of, every videographer who's already made it that you can think of, watching their videos, studying their videos, and really because I wasn't at a school that had film, I had to like teach myself, and so hours I would either be looking at YouTube videos. I remember this one manual from this one artist who's now out in LA, and I just kind of looking through what he had and looking at all of his stuff, and really just soaking it in. And I would it's funny, right when as I was beginning, I would shoot text messages, or at that time it was on Facebook, because I don't know why everyone communicated through Facebook. MySpace, I'm not that old, Ezekiel, okay?
But we're the same age. I had a MySpace. I had like a top 10.
Well, no, I wasn't like hitting up my artists through my MySpace, but it was definitely through Facebook Messenger, and I would be saying like, hey, I just learned this little technique. I would love to shoot a music video for
That's sick, but pause there, because I think that's cool for anyone starting anything. Sure. and doing anything, right? The fact that you were passionate about what you were doing, but you decided to also take that step and reach out. And I think, what's that cliche quote? Like, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. But you were just like, hey, I got this new idea. So I saw maybe on YouTube, I saw from a
I
guy,
just went for it.
and I'm just gonna message X amount of people. And there's this powerful quote that I recently read from a friend of mine, and it's, the seed has potential in the pocket, right? But the power is really in the ground. Like, you gotta plant it, you gotta do it. So I think for me, I mean, what you're saying is that it's like all these ideas that we have, they have potential in the pocket, and that's fine, you know. But it's like where the seed grows, where the plant grows, is when you give the real powers in the ground.
Yeah.
So I think that's, just hearing that, it's inspiring, because then obviously we're gonna get to more, but
sure,
that's sick, man. So you were just hitting everyone up in the area.
And you know, after a while, it's just kind of like practice, you know, kind of made perfect, if that makes sense. And you know, I'm doing larger gigs. I remember there was a local company from Miami who would come and throw these huge like paint parties, and they went all over. And
sick.
They actually contacted me and wanted to do some editing.
Really?
House of Blues, man, they started contacting me and saying, hey, when we have artists, like, we would love for you to come. Well, not love, but it was through a promoter. He said, hey, we would love for you to come and do these event recaps. And so I'm now shooting event recaps through a promoter for all these like major artists. And so like,
wow,
it's funny, like at the time, these guys were people that, you know, people that we would all be listening to on the radio. So from the likes of like Waka Flocka to, I know this is really funny.
I said, look, man, no hands. You don't, I don't.
Waka Flocka to
classic
Roscoe Dash to Travis Porter, and you know, and
wow.
And all of a sudden I'm getting this exposure, which kind of like within the city that I was in, because it was a smaller town, people were like, oh dude, that's really cool. And so one of my good friends, who I'm still great friends with to this day, his name is Zach.
Zach Kilo.
You know what I'm saying? It's
yes,
like,
sir.
Shout out. He actually was a guy who I would consistently make music videos with. And now I'm going to lead up to the baby story, okay?
Do it. I want to hear it, because I've only heard a little bit.
Yep. And so we're in South Carolina. My buddy, he moves to Charlotte, and I'm still making music videos back and forth. And at this time, I had now moved back down to Florida, out of South Carolina. And, you know, I'm still flying up there, or I'll drive up there to make videos for him. And he had just recorded this EDM song that he was just super excited
EDM was popping at the time,
dude. It was popping at the time.
That was like Swedish House Mafia days.
Dude, he had the timing down, and he was in the studio one night, and his engineer was pretty well known within the area, and in walks this guy, and he goes up to Zach and he says, hey, I really like this beat, and I really like your rapping too. He's like, let's have a conversation. And so they have a conversation, they leave, they exchange information, and it was Da Baby. And dude, it was well before he had blown up at this time,
following or anything.
Yeah. And so this is like maybe 2017, and he's known as Baby Jesus at this time.
Baby Jesus, who comes up with a name like that, bro?
Dude. And
people from Charlotte.
No.
Weird.
And, well, what's crazy is they connected, and Zach had his manager, I think, get him onto a song, or have a conversation about getting him onto a song, and they agreed, and they made the song. And now Zach's like, dude, you have to come out and film this music video. And so I'm like, sure, let's do it. I had no idea who Da Baby was. I had no idea who or what he could have been and has now become.
That you had no idea he was going to be on the Kanye album.
Blow up, blow up. Absolutely. And so I go out there. He ended up renting out, and I don't know how they did this at the time, but ended up renting out. It's the BB&T ballpark. It's for it's really funny. This is really cool. It's the minor league team for the Chicago White Sox. So look at that, Ezekiel.
Look at God.
Look at that. Look at God. And so, you know, we kind of have this really fun scene that we're filming out in the outfield of this ballpark.
Every rapper does that.
Dude,
outfield,
I know. Outfield,
alley.
Dude, behind it is like the Charlotte like downtown landscape.
And they're doing they weren't really rocking at the time. But they were, I don't know.
Yeah. And in comes like Da Baby, and you know, he records his part, and he's hype and just fun and funny, and you know, we ended up taking a lot of photos, and I went home, I edited the video, sent it to my boy Zach, and 2 years later he blew up.
What
So it's
what a
crazy to
beast.
think, dude. I think at the time he had like maybe 30,000 followers, and yeah, like, it's just kind of crazy. And I remember because now, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say this. I love film. I've been passionate about film, and I've used it in many different like cool stages in my life. It didn't end up being what I now do.
Yeah.
Which I now am in ministry, and I know that you kind of alluded to that before, and we can even talk about that here
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
second.
exactly. Like Da Baby.
Yeah.
You go from Chi-Town,
Chi-Town,
Delray,
Boca area,
doing film,
South
shooting
Carolina.
alligators, and then
Music videos.
obviously
Yeah.
end up shooting like well-known,
Well-known,
artists,
yep.
local rappers, which you can really get in depth in that scene
Sure.
and get lost in the sauce there. Continue to do video for a while, and then I reconnect with you. You're working for a church. What inspired you to do that, bro? Like,
Well, it's interesting.
what was the change?
I remember having a conversation with an artist that I knew in South Carolina, and I had just shot a video for someone who was well known. It wasn't Da Baby, but it was somebody who was well known at the time. And he comes up to me and he's like, "Dude, if anyone's next to blow, it's you." And what he's talking about is like anybody who's next to, like, I guess make it, quote unquote.
Yeah. Wow.
And I remember thinking to myself, man, that's an interesting comment, because I didn't see myself as that. I honestly, I thought, man, I still got to do this. I got to learn this. And, I just had the mindset of always having to learn. And also looking at life at the time, also looking at some of the stuff that I was involved with, and also looking at, kind of the behind the scenes of what we all praise today within culture. And honestly, looking at that lifestyle and on the inside feeling burdened because it just didn't feel right to me. And I felt like I was walking actually through a season of anxiety and depression through that time, because I just felt like, I don't know if this is for me. And I had to really wrestle and grip with that, because from the outside in, it's like, yeah, I'm the guy who's shooting music videos.
It seemed like you were filled. It seemed like you were living the dream. Like you were on the come up.
And there was honestly a season of like me thinking to myself, but I don't even know if this is what I want to do. And yeah, man, I mean, just in a completely different lifestyle, if that makes sense. And I had to come to grips with myself and be really honest with myself and ask myself, like, why am I feeling this way? And if I'm feeling this way, is this what I want? And I mean, I know that faith and God and Jesus is not everybody's conversation, and I understand that. And trust my work in ministry, and so I understand that. But 100%. that was something that came into my life when I was 17, and I looked my faith in that season, and I honestly had a conversation with God, and I said, God, like, if this is what you want, but if it's not, let me know.
Wow.
So if it is what you want, so be it. If not, take me out. And I felt these subtle like nudges and urges to kind of come out. And what's funny is, like, I always had a passion to help people. I think that I've always been a relational person. Like, I feel like I built friendships with people in the music scene. I feel like I built friendships with people before that and after that. And as I'm kind of like going through this like soul searching, like, is this what I want? Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life kind of season?
Which is a lot of questions that everyone's usually asking themselves.
Yep. Especially in your 20s. And at the time I was like 21, 22. And so I'm really asking these questions. During that time, I remember just, feeling these passions though, that maybe there was something else. And like I said, I always loved people. I always loved helping people. And so I honestly just started serving again. And I started serving within a local church. I started serving at a place where, I can continue to grow my faith, because even before then I didn't really know too much. Like I said, faith came into my life at 17, and I loved Jesus, but like, what does that mean?
In a moment where you're trying to figure out your next move in life, your purpose, you're also asking questions about your faith. You're also
faith and life, and what is purpose and
exactly,
meaning.
And that essentially leads you to go and serve at your local church.
I just started serving. It's funny, like, when you start to give rather than than like think about yourself. When you're thinking about others rather than think about yourself, it really does change things, and it really does change perspective. And I started to grow a passion for people that I knew I'd already had, but like this passion for people started turning into this like almost call that I felt to help people, if that makes sense. And you know, I loved what I was doing, and the opportunities just kind of came to me to be a part of this internship at the time that was
amazing
at this church that I'm still at. And you know, I said yes to it, not knowing anything of what I was gonna do.
Yeah,
and
what's it gonna look like for me not to work for the?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm the guy who came out of shooting music videos for the baby, now about to go into an internship at a church. It's like, okay, got it. If this isn't you, I don't know what's happening. At least that's what I'm thinking in my mind. And so, you know, going into this new context without really knowing much about it, and having to figure things out, like, sure, there were good conversations, if you want to say, you know, and I say good conversations because some of the conversations were hard, but I think hard conversations can be good, with 100%. People who I actually realized actually really loved me, and wanted what was best for me. And dude, throughout that, like, they helped me see, like, hey, this passion that you have for people, like, you can actually continue to pursue that and continue to grow that, and actually really, really step into a calling to serve people. And
not only just serve, I mean, obviously serve all people, but not only that, specifically you started working with youth, right?
Yeah, specifically for the youth.
And ended up, which now will lead into that, you're now the student pastor.
Yep.
At your church, you
church.
know, what a transition.
What a transition. Dude, it's funny, man.
You know, and
I would have never thought.
You know, reconnecting with you, it's like, oh man, you're doing ministry now. You're not shooting music videos. Wow, like it's been a while for sure since, you know, we were in the same car my freshman year, like going to a party.
It's like Lil Zeke at the party, and now
there's a lot of stages.
Now I'm trying to talk to Lil Zeke at the party. You know, it's like at the party, it's like, hey Zeke, come to our student ministry. You know,
but now you're a full on pastor, and you're serving youth, which in my opinion, like, investing in the youth is the best thing you can do. Investing in the next generation is the best thing you can do. They always win. They're in culture. They're especially now, man, with TikTok and all these social media platforms. I mean, they're exposed to so much, because for a lot of people, again, they're probably questioning, why would anyone ever leave shooting artists to then
to this
investing in youth and then working for a church? And it's like, so there has to be something. Like, what's the day-to-day for you when it comes to your job?
I'll say this, a lot of it is relationships. And so you know, people, I think, sometimes question, okay, what do people within the church do? What do people you know, who serve within a religious context do? And there's a lot of things that come to mind, honestly, when people even talk about church or talk about religion. But dude, I'll tell you what, like, you know, I have the honor and the privilege to serve at a church that I believe is doing it right. And we just love people. Like, we really, like, just want to, you know, help people and be in a relationship with people and do our best for people. And, you know, that's what it is. And so, like, there's a lot of fun conversations with middle school and high school students who, you know,
I can imagine.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. There is, you know, sometimes we'll throw large events where it feels like a party, and like they get to invite their friends, and we have food trucks outside and bungee jumps, and, you know, it's providing a fun atmosphere, but a safe atmosphere. It's connecting with parents and, you know, helping them either take a next step or inviting them into the context that we have, or keeping them updated and informed. You know, it's all those things. And sure, there's obviously, because I'm at a church, there is the teaching and the understanding of the Bible, and you know, that is part of the job. But at the end of the day, it's I would say it's more relational than people would think. And so it's fun, man. And I'll tell you this, if you don't believe in the next generation, or if, like, you don't actually invest within the next generation, it's like, then, you know, good luck on what the future could look like, you know, because man, I believe we have to believe in them more than ever, especially right now. More than ever right now. My goodness.
especially now, and that's another reason why I wanted to have you on here, because when I see you doing what you're doing now, which is investing in the youth and leading and essentially pastoring these kids and these students, man, it's amazing to see, because even you speaking about it, you're like, we're building a community, we're building a safe place where people can, at the end of the day, people don't just want to be seen, but they want to be known, and you're a part of creating a movement, where these kids that come from different backgrounds, different stories, different struggles, are able to come into a safe place, and maybe, with all these things going on, maybe have doubts, maybe have questions, maybe
Sure.
like we all do.
Yeah, 100%.
But man, I don't know, man. I think it's such an important thing, like you're saying now, especially more than ever, to invest and to relate to them. Because again, if you're not in proximity with the youth, with middle schoolers or high schools, and you don't know what's going on. I remember when I was back in my day, when I was serving at my church, and had the privilege of leading youth as well, man. My nephews were putting me on to Kodak Black, No Flockin', which is a classic. I'm like, I don't know any of this.
All of these artists
underground,
no one that you know now. It's like, dude, the last artist I knew was like Drake and Lil Wayne. Like, who's this guy?
But these guys, but these kids, man, they're in it. They're in it. So I feel like if you can invest in them, I think, and now more than ever, I believe we live in a very fatherless generation, and so more than ever, I think now we need more fatherly figures. We need more mentors, more teachers, more people that are gonna bring these kids along the journey, and again, you're like you're saying, your job is to essentially teach them the Bible and guide them along, a godly path. But more than that is to also create a relationship with them, and let them know that, that they're not alone. And again, people that just know you as a pastor might not even know that you did music videos before. Some people still know you as Connor, just the film director,
the film guy,
C. Millie.
Yeah.
Like,
also get people every now and then like, hey, can you shoot a music video? I'm like,
nah,
I don't do that anymore.
Bro, but so you're doing ministry now. You're working with students, which is amazing. What has been one of the biggest challenges, I think, in what you're currently doing right now?
I think the response to culture has shaped all of us in a way that we are still figuring out, if that makes sense. It's funny. Are you considered a millennial? Like, you're 26, right? So you would actually be considered Gen Z. Look at you.
I am not Gen Z. I'm a millennial.
Are you? Okay.
1995, January, baby.
Dude, I could have sworn the 19. But anyways,
all right, pause.
Yeah, pause.
Stop playing. Stop. Cut the cameras.
No. So the millennial.
I'll mess with you.
Well, you know how it is. The millennial generation, we became the movement era because, man, just look at all the things that we saw come up, from social injustice to, I remember back, what was it, the Coney stuff in Africa.
I remember that.
I remember like everything. There was, I think, a lot of issues that we saw come up, and because of the platform of social media and amazing videography, people could create what we call now movements, and we became the movement era, and we became passionate about so many different things. And I'll also say this, at the same time, we also became an era that was very, I think, becoming more in tune with their own emotions and their own maybe hurts and past, and also an era that became very spiritual. And so we have a hyper emotional era and a hyper let's go out and change the world era.
Yeah.
And we started caring about all these different things and seeing all these things, and the good and the bad came with that, sure. But it's funny, this next generation, I see a lot of I don't care. I see a lot of,
really,
it's interesting. Like, I see a lot of students who went through, I think, all of what we went through in the last 10 to 15 years. And think about it, we went through a lot.
A lot of transition, even
A lot of
from
transition.
the
The
flip
world
phone
changed
to
completely.
the BlackBerry.
Yep, flip phone. I mean, there's good
iPhone.
things and technological advances, and then there's bad things, and like at the same time, anxiety and depression's on the rise, and all of these thoughts are on the rise. Suicidal thoughts are on the rise, and there's
Insane. Wow.
I think the response for the next generation, it seems to be a lot of apathy, and getting them to understand, or getting them to see, or getting them to feel a certain way about something. They say, well, man, why should I if the system has failed me, or why should I if the government, or whatever you want to say, has failed me. They've seen a lot of things kind of crumble underneath them.
You see
so
entitlement, or
asking,
you see.
I do see a little bit of that. That's not. I think that's contextual, because it depends on where.
100%.
But I think the biggest thing is helping kids to understand, or helping kids to care about something, helping kids to care about change, or even in influencing or affecting their environments. I think that it has been ever the more important that we help them, but then it's also been ever the more difficult to help them, if that makes sense, because their response to a lot of things has been, well, why should I care?
Well, it's exposure, like you're saying. It's so much exposure within this phone, man. I remember in middle school, I didn't have I got a phone in high school.
I had the Nokia brick in ninth grade, bro.
I was playing that
Snake, bro.
The Snake.
Yes.
The Nokia,
yes.
dude. And then I had a Sprint, like, Bobo phone my freshman year, which got stolen.
Yeah.
I still can't find it. I don't know who stole it.
Yeah.
I don't know who did it, but it's fine.
Yeah.
But dude, so we went from that to having this. I remember when the iPhone came out, and it was a big deal, and like a certain class could only have an iPhone. It wasn't like available to everyone, and it was revolutionary. And now you see everyone. My brother got an iPhone in 5th grade.
Yeah.
iPhone 5.
Yeah.
I was like, insane.
Dude, there's iPads in front of babies at restaurants.
So, going to that exposure, right? And I'm a firm believer of what informs us essentially forms us. Whatever's informing you, whatever. Like me, I know how to talk Mexican slang because that's all I heard growing up. I know Spanish, but I know Mexican slang because that's what was informing me as a kid. So my cadence, my accent when I speak Spanish, it comes from that. So what more than the music, than the politics, and the exposure, than these movements, or so many different things, like you're saying, they're exposed to so much, which may be, like you're saying, the response to that, which is the apathy, or the entitlement, or the I don't care.
Yeah, because you spoke to a fatherless generation, and it's hard. I think it's hard to really come to grips with this, but I think it is true. And a lot of the times, the father, when the father says something to the kid, it holds weight. Especially like if you had a father who didn't really say much, or always working. When they would come home and say, "I'm proud of you,"
it's like you're
you're crying,
or like they just give you that look.
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
it's go time.
And they do speak, I think, that affirmation, and at times even that words that I think can shape and form identity. And without that voice, it's hard. And I'll just go ahead and leave it there. But for our students, it's interesting when you make them feel known and seen, and then you can come into the life and help them see, like, hey, there is something special within you. Those are the few times where I do see light bulbs go off and students begin to actually care. Because it's funny, like, I think that at the same time, while there is a lacking of apathy, I think there's also a lacking of purpose, or who I am, like that identity aspect.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Identity. Wow.
And just a simple saying, like, I'm proud of you and I see this in you. I've seen that do, just like, I've seen it almost bring some students to tears. And I'll share my faith a little bit here, if that's okay.
Of course.
It's cool. I love that the Bible would say that God's like a father, that he is our father, and that's why we call him Heavenly Father. Man, he even gives gifts and he gives talents, and if he's created us and known us and formed us before we were made, as what we read within the Bible, and he wants to give us purpose. It's cool. He wants to bring purpose to those gifts and talents and all those things. And what's cool is like to be able to even like help somebody who also believes in his faith see that not only do I do it, but like God sees that as well. He's proud of you, and he he wants to bring purpose to those things because he put those things in there, and he sees those things that other people might not see, those giftings or the talents that he's like, God sees those things, and he wants to bring purpose to those things. And I think at the end of the day, I love what I get to do now, and I think that's why I'm here. Like, I think that's why the film season kind of came to an end and the ministry season came about, because it's so much more, I think, than as what culture might say is making converts. Like, sure, like we help people to know Jesus, and that's really all that it is. We help people to know Jesus and have a relationship with Jesus, because at the end of the day, if you were to talk to anyone about Jesus, they would say that man, he was either a really good person or like I really like Jesus. Some people have a problem.
So many
with the church.
Perspectives, so many different.
Yeah, he gets the respect. Some obviously people have a lot of problem with the church, but like when you talk about Jesus, like, and we can talk about the church at a later time, but let's first talk about Jesus. And so I think what I get to do and what I have, I think, a passion to do is help people to understand that, because once they do, they see that, man, exactly what I just said, man, God, you gifted me with things, and you want to give me purpose, and you want to bring into my life greater peace, as Jesus says, my peace I give you. And so, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time,
another podcast,
another
part
podcast.
2.
But yeah, no, I mean, obviously I appreciate you allowing me to kind of talk about my faith when it comes to those things. But like when I think in my context and helping kids to understand and helping students to understand that there's a God that loves them, I think that does it for you. That's ultimate. It's the greatest. Yeah, it's one of the greatest honors.
And also you hit something very, very important, which is speaking life, speaking greatness out of someone.
Yeah.
If you don't have friends like that in your circle, then what are you really doing? At least for me, and just to honor you a little bit, man, you've been that to me so many times, bro. In seasons of my life of discouragement, of doubt, where I've felt down, you've always picked me up. So what you speaking into that, and you doing that for kids that might not ever receive that at home, but speaking greatness out of people, man. I think especially young people, man, like you said, you've seen even tears come, and man, in my end, for someone that it's not babysitting, it's far beyond that. What you're doing is creating a catalyst for the next years, because those seeds that are going to be planted in those kids, man, the fruit of that, you might see it,
Yeah.
You might not see it in 2, 3, 4 years, man, because I was young too. I was reckless, but man, essentially boys become men, and girls become women, and they'll remember those times, and they'll remember the moments, that they experience within that context, So, dude, that's amazing. That is inspiring. Man, I always tell people, I wish I had that growing up. Like I grew up in church as well.
Sure.
Straight from the womb, bro. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like women's service, like houses, everything. I don't know. I'm straight. Grew up in church straight from the womb.
Yeah.
But I never really had that. I never really had mentors or people guiding me. It would have, looking back, it would have, having that voice, having that encouragement from someone, from a leader, from a mentor, would have changed a lot of things. Hey, let's go out for coffee. Hey, you know what? You're not doing this good, but man, there's something out. There's great things in you, like things like that. As a 16-year-old, bro, I would have been like, yeah, really, man. I don't know, dude. I feel like I'm a mess. I feel like I don't have it all together. Like seriously. But those things, man, would have done so much. But again, not that I regret my journey, but it's just the power in that, in what you're doing, man. It's amazing. It's inspiring, at least in mine.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, bro. And I feel the same about you. I think our conversations have always encouraged me and honestly helped me through some tough seasons. So, it's reciprocated, bro.
That's awesome. Any goals you got in the horizon in the future on your end?
Oh man, it's funny. I tell you this all the time, and so I feel like my biggest goal right now is just to do well with what I have. Obviously, there will come moments of sparks and passions for maybe something new and such, but like at the moment, I just feel grounded, and I feel like the more time that I put into this and the more efforts I give to this, the more I think, if you want to say fruit, you'll yield, if that makes sense. And so I'm just enjoying where we're at. I'm just enjoying the season. We do want, Morgan and I, which is Morgan's my wife, we do want to get a house, and so
That's amazing. Let's go.
But it's a crazy market, and so that's a personal family goal. But
you guys are awesome.
That's what we're looking, man.
Morgan is awesome too. Shout out to Morgan. She's awesome, man, and both of you guys are just amazing. But so the goal is to get a crib. Hopefully soon.
We'll see.
Crazy market. If you're a realtor out there, don't DM. We're not trying. Or maybe do if you got a good deal, right?
I'm like, Zeke, I just said that. No, I'm joking.
Or maybe do if you're a realtor.
We have some awesome. It's the Albertson team. Shout out.
The plug.
They're the best. But yeah, no. That's what we're looking at, brother.
From your journey, obviously, you've shot alligators, bro. You shot,
dude, from alligators,
baby Jesus,
dude, from alligators to baby Jesus, to now
you're leading
youth ministry, a youth pastor. Yeah.
What is what is what is a tip or an advice that you would encourage them with? I don't know, like.
Yeah. I'll say this. So I remember this is like stood out to me quite a bit, and I feel like I've had a couple conversations about this for just different reasons. But I heard at this conference, and it was a speaker who was pretty well known within like the business world, and he was talking about purpose. And I guess there was a long time ago statistics that were done within the World War, I think maybe 1 or 2 era, and people coming out of just the craziness of what that was. There were psychologists that were looking at those who I think were pretty severely affected by depression, and they were trying to put 2 things in front of these people to see if it would help. And one was pleasure and the other one was purpose. And what they saw was purpose began to give life to the soul, because now you feel like, okay, I am created for something. I am able to contribute. I am able to give something. And what they saw was those who did not have purpose would turn to pleasure to fill what purpose was always designed to give. And that hit me for whatever reason, is when we don't feel like we have purpose, we'll turn to pleasures to fill what purpose was all along supposed to give, which is that life-giving sense of purpose and accomplishment, and the ability to feel like, okay, I'm here for a reason and I'm able to make a difference. And so I'll say this, man, if you're out there and you're grinding away at your first job, or you're looking for your third career, I will always say this, also look for what is your purpose, and also look for what is that thing that, you now realize you were created for. Because if we don't have that, it'll be the endless cycle of going out there and looking for it within material possessions or money or a sense of accomplishment or all these things. I would say, really look for that sense of purpose. And even when you find that, or as you're in search for that, redefine success to, I think, set you up for purpose. Because at the end of the day, we can define success as a lot of those things. And honestly, some of those things I just listed, whether it's the accolades or the money or the possessions, a lot of people's definition of success is that. But no, I think that a definition of success could actually be that I have thriving relationships, that I'm helping others, that I'm loved by my friends, and my friends love me, and I love them.
Facts.
It's that then I think can continue to now bring life to the heart and to the soul and to the mind, and I think it can heal from the inside out. And I'll obviously say this, I found that within Jesus, and so DM me if you ever want to have a conversation about that.
Let's go.
But I do believe it to be true that I think purpose is more of the goal than it is pleasure. And so,
God, if there's any other way to close it out, I think that's it. purpose beats pleasure all day, any day.
Yeah, purpose over pleasure.
Yeah, let's go. I love that. Where can people find you, bro?
Yeah, my Instagram is Connor G Milligan. That's it.
Connor with an O or with
Connor G Milligan, Milligan. Yep.
What an honor, bro. What a time. What a time to be alive.
What a time.
What a time to be alive. Dude, thank you so much,
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
For coming on and just having conversations. At the end of the day, the sole purpose of this, like I always say it, whether you're early in the process or late in the journey, wherever you're at, stay the course, stay in your element. There's a calling on each and every one of us. So I'm just trying to showcase people that I know, people that I'm inspired by, people that I care about, and that I feel like are making a difference in the business world or creatively in any field. And you're one of those people, man. So thank you again for coming on, man. And go Dodgers. Let's go. Let's rock.
Thanks for having me, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Take care, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Subscribe if you haven't, and share this. Bye.